Rewilding started because I was really disappointed in spiritual practices. I was really disappointed in personal development. And I kind of got angry after studying masculine-based practices for about 10 years. And then finally figuring out that there was a whole nother side to the coin. And that is what genuinely unlocked a good life for me. That's where rewilding kind of came from. It's ReWilding's 9th birthday. I asked the team, my beautiful, amazing rewilding team. We are a team of 13 now, maybe 20 with our amazing volunteer support team. I asked the team what would most serve our community, what would most serve as a topic to dive into now as we're launching a tour next year. We have never done a tour. We've never done Rewilding Your Life. We're launching this tour to celebrate our birthday, and we're 9, and things are just really exploding in a way for us. For me, sometimes I feel like I'm trying to drink water out of a fire hydrant, and I'm missing a lot. Like I'm mostly just like soaking wet. A lot of bad hair days at the moment, but they said to me when I asked them what would most serve, and they said, give us the story, Sabrina. Give us, where did rewilding come from? How did it happen? What exactly is it now? How did it change? There's also this blowing up my car story that someone so beautifully dropped in to this thread that the team was sharing. Sabrina, share the how you blew up your car and how that has to do with rewilding your life and the founding of it. My car literally, there were like 20-foot, 15-foot, 20-foot flames coming out of my car. Yeah, high seas in Australia, high fire season in Australia. Terrified I was going to start the block on fire. I'll maybe share that story. I will share that story in a little while. I want this to serve, though, so I don't want this story to be boring in any way, shape, or form. So my aim, why do you want to fucking listen to this, is this might serve you building your own business. It might serve you answering your own soul callings, as wild and strange as they might seem. It might help you to follow your own spiritual path, your own awakening path, and that it can come in interesting shapes and forms that you had no idea and look very mundane, but it really is like your highest, most awakening, enlivening, enlightening path you could be taking. It might serve, if you're part of rewilding, even if it's just listening to the astrology videos or hanging out on our Instagram, it might serve to really understand, like, what the fuck is the core of this thing? P.S. I really don't want to have a filter in this one. I feel like because it gets to be personal, I'm going to take the liberty of personal liberty. And I'm just going to kind of let it fly. I really would love to come from a place of getting vulnerable and honest and going deep with this in a way that I've never in any interview, any conversation, podcast, writing, program, whether you've been in 18-month programs with me, I want to give you stuff that you've never heard before. And I really wanted to support your path forward. So that's my intention. Maybe you want to hold an intention too of, may I hear the things that serve my path forward. So to me, this is a conversation about your path forward as much as it's a conversation about how rewilding was founded and the challenges and the pitfalls, and maybe it can prevent you from some of those pitfalls. And so let's do this thing. All right. First and foremost, this was founding ReWilding was something that took an enormous amount of guts, an enormous amount of trust in a part of myself that I definitely trusted very little at the time. It came from a place which was like a very irrational, illogical place in myself. It was it makes me want to cry. For that little me, that young me, how old was I at the time? In my 30s, I don't know, who had to leave a corporate job, had to put everything that I had, every dollar I had, every dollar I didn't have. I had a lot of credit card debt then. Everything I had into trusting this thing that made no sense to me, that was extraordinarily scary. But there was a part of me that knew. It's like, I knew this was for me. I heard the words rewilding for women. They just like dropped in, rewilding for women. And I went, oh no, that's way too big for me. All the self-doubt, all the insecurities, all of that, so loud. The battle between my logical, I have a very, very, very logical, rational part of myself. I was a scientist. I was a microbiologist. I was a chemist. I was going to medical school. And then I started playing like high level rugby, which anyways, long story. We don't need to get into that. That's not the rewilding story. But I had to fight this extraordinarily logical, rational part of myself. And I've always been very independent. So I've always owned my own homes, paid my own, I didn't have like a family system to fall into or a partner or a community that I could lean into, right? So it was very much like my life was very much built on my own back, you could say. And so in that, I anyways had to be very logical, rational, reasonable. I was living in Australia at the time. I was doing really beautiful things. I had bought businesses by then. I had sold businesses. I had given businesses away to my best friend, my childhood best friend, because I was leaving her and moving to Australia. And it was like, I felt so bad. I was like, no, just keep them. I don't need anything. And so had to let the soul, could say, it was this intuitive knowing in myself, be louder and make a real strong decision to follow that. I don't know. Can you relate? Here's something I can share with you as just a piece of wisdom now, 9 years later, is the more that I follow that voice, the louder that voice gets. The more that I follow that voice, the easier. I mean, now it's like a non-thing. It's a non-thing. I don't care how irrational, illogical it is. If it comes from that place that I now have a deep relationship to, didn't so much then, but had to develop that deep, strengthen, develop trust in that part of myself, that deep, intuitive, soul knowing part of self. It was, it's now so easy. I don't even care. If I hear jump, how high, really and truly. But back then, if I heard jump, I'd be like, probably not. It doesn't look like I'm going to be able to pay the bills. Probably not. So maybe that serves in some way. All right, let's go back to this. I heard these words, rewilding for women. And then the comparison sets in, the who am I to do this? What's that other word that everyone's using now? It's like falsity, like I can't remember. Maybe you can leave it in the comments below, but it's like imposter. I got it. Imposter syndrome, right? It was all of that, I was like, oh my God, all of that's coming up, worthiness of who am I to do this? All of that coming up. And so had to do it anyway, so not only does this look totally stupid, and not only do I have all of these insecurities coming up, because this feels so much bigger than me. It feels so daunting. But I remember hearing Elizabeth Gilbert once talk about inspirations. And to me, inspirations comes from like in spirit too, like they're inspired, they're in spirit, they're inspired from spirit, like they're, the divine web, the divine orchestration. And it's like an inspiration. It's like moving through this glorious web of interconnectedness. And this one, if they come in, there's a resonance for you. There's a resonance with you. And so I remember hearing her talk about this just before this had happened to me. And the resonance coming through like the divine web of, inspired in spirit too for Sabrina in this moment. And it was rewilding for women. and then going, oh my gosh, it's too big. I don't know if I can do it. And days, not that long actually, but it was days, maybe a couple of weeks. I don't know. But I remember really specifically hearing this Elizabeth Gilbert principle, and I've watched this happen in my life too, is if you don't bring it through, it'll just move on. It'll just move on. So it's like it's picked you, you've called it, it's called to you, it's picked you. You have choice though. You don't have to bring it through. You don't have to be the mother of that. You don't have to birth that. That's how it always feels to me, is birthing. You don't have to, right? And so it comes in and it's here, and I'm like, wow, and I've had this deep knowing, if I don't, it'll move on. And that's okay. It's okay. But knowing, I just knew, I could feel it. And really, having watched that, now I can look back again over the 9 years, and I have a very different relationship with that too. A very different relationship with when it comes in, when the inspirations come in, they drop it, like how they feel and how they move through me, and the choice. Some I do choose to let them go. I do. And some I am very much called to birth them into the world. And Elizabeth Gilbert was talking about a book. She was inspired to write a book, and she got the book, right? It picked her, kind of moved in through her, and then she sat on it and sat on it and sat on it and sat on it. And then like a year later or 2 years later, she reads someone else had written the book. Like it was the book. The book that she had the inspiration. It's wild. It's a wild story. You can look it up if you want. I don't, maybe someone on the team can find it, or maybe you know where it's at and you can leave a comment for maybe where an interview is of that. I don't know. But so anyways, back to how rewilding came about is I also have very close friends. So this is something else I can share. It's just something really has helped me on my journey and helped rewilding a lot. A very close friend. She actually still is on the team to this day. She has been on the ReWilding team. She's been there from the very, 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 very start. She's like midwife to rewilding, like original midwife to rewilding. And I was also teaching public speaking skills at the time. So I was running like little workshops on public speaking skills, how to be a presenter, how to speak publicly. And I had a room in a college booked. We were studying meditation then. So I had been going through tons and tons of training. My whole spiritual world was hidden at this point though. I'll talk a little bit more about that too, because I think that might serve too, to share this part of rewilding's journey, how it all started, and it might serve your journey too. So, I say to her, I have this room booked at this, esoteric college that we were studying with meditation and shamanic practices at, and energy healing, all kinds of like beautiful, amazing modalities. I said, I have a room booked. Do I run public speaking skills? Or do I run a workshop called ReWilding for women? This is how it started. This is the very first thing. This is the first thing. There was no web page. There was no social media. There was no nothing. I had a room, and I was going to originally do public speaking skills. And I said, do I do rewilding for women, or do I do this public speaking? Do I do my normal public speaking skills? She said, if you don't do rewilding for women, I will kill you. Bless these soul friends, right? I think we all need them. I know I need them. I know I need soul fire friends, like friends who they just hold you to the truth, and they really genuinely want your soul to shine. Those are the kind of friends. Those are the kind of friends that we really want to find. Those are the friendships we want to develop, hold on to, love through thick and thin. This makes me cry again. I can say there's no way I would be here without those amazing soul friends. And I have many of them. You all know who you are. And I'm loving you up, and I'm so crazy grateful for you. So if there's anything that I can share around that is, I like these words too of, there's opinions, there's advice, and then there's fucking wise counsel. And there aren't very many people who really genuinely do not have their own agendas with things, who genuinely are there for your soul to shine. They do not have comparison. They do not have competitiveness. They cry in joy when your soul shines. Those those kinds of people. Find them, love them, let them love you. I can say that is one of the most profound influences in rewilding and how rewilding got to where rewilding is. By the way, many of those people are on the team. I have multiple of these soul friends on the team. They help your soul shine. Also, things that help your soul shine. Now I'm getting all teacher and I'm supposed to be giving you the story. All right, let me give the story. So, okay, I decided to do rewilding for women. All right. I didn't know how to run Facebook ads at the time. So I wrote a very tiny short Facebook ad, and this was 9 years ago. So Facebook ads, they were really cheap, real cheap. And I'm in Australia. I'm in Sydney, Australia, and I'm running a workshop in Sydney in person. So it's really easy to just narrowly target Sydney women who like meditation, yoga, you could pick things like that. And I write this just whatever I can about what I think this is, which I don't even know what it is. I have no fucking idea what this is. I just know it's called ReWilding for women. And then I wrote this little ad and it said it's a little bit shamanic, it's a little bit tantric, it's really embodied. We're going to go into deeper parts of self for transformation, for awakening, reclamation. I don't even know. I don't really remember exactly how I worded this. And I had a little Eventbrite page. So I put a little event on Eventbrite. I didn't have a website. I had nothing. There's nothing. So I had a little Eventbrite page, I don't remember what tickets were, maybe like $40 or something. And it was like 4 hours. I don't even know. And people started buying tickets. I kind of thought maybe just my friends would show up, like 5 or 6 friends. That would be great. I could figure out what this rewilding for women thing is without being totally embarrassed in front of a bunch of strangers who actually paid money to do something that I don't know what it is. But no, these were like real people that I'd never met. And people just started booking in like really quickly. Like it happened really, really quickly. And so I started to freak out. I think we got to like between 12 and 15, maybe somewhere around 15. I don't even know. I don't know exact numbers, but, and I freaked out and I shut the ads off. I was like, oh my God, there's 15 people coming and I don't even know what we're doing. Just shut it off. So I shut the ads off real quick, close the event on Eventbrite. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do for 4 hours with 15 people? And I've been studying at this point for at least 10 years, probably more. And I'd been studying very intensely, practicing very intensely. I was leading a little local meditation at a gym, like a fitness studio, like a gym. There was only 4 people that came to the meditations. It wasn't my finest. But I didn't have to find the people. I didn't have to do the marketing. I just had to show up and teach a meditation class. And it was good practice. So anyways, the event goes off and you might want to know what this was. We do archetypal embodiment. Isn't that crazy? Some of you are doing archetypal embodiment with me now, 9 years later. We're doing it in the immersion experience. We're doing it in IX. We're doing it in those of you coming to Rewild Your Life, those events, this tour in 2025. We're doing the archetypal embodiment. This is the stuff that changed my life the most. It's the stuff that changed my life the most. And it's the stuff that I most wanted to hold out in the world because it's the stuff that it took me 10 years to find. And I had to go to Australia to fucking find it. And I found one person who was doing it. That was it. And it was the thing that rocked my fucking world. It's why I founded Rewilding for Women. It is because it rocked my world and it wasn't anywhere else. And I still don't see it in other places. I do not see it. And now it's profoundly different than what it was 9 years ago. I'll talk a little bit about that too. Like what I've seen in, personal growth changes and in our own consciousness, what I've seen in what we as humans are able to do now that we couldn't do 9 years ago. And it's cool. I'll talk a little bit about that. I want to say can you remind me? But You probably can't because you're watching this after I film this. I'll try to remind myself. We'll see if I miss it. Sorry, leave a comment and I'll do something else. I'll answer it in some way for us. Okay, so this event goes off. We work with a couple of archetypal energies, and I was very focused on the feminine. It was rewilding for women, and I was very much about the feminine, us really accessing the feminine parts of self. And let me feel the really, I have always had an affinity and a love for the deeper, more hidden parts of the sacred feminine, the deeper, more hidden parts of the feminine, the parts of the feminine that we judge, the parts of the feminine that we deny, the parts of the feminine that other people judge in us, the parts of the feminine that our family systems deny, the parts of the feminine that the collective denies. If you think about like women who run with the wolves, right? Clarissa Pinkola Estes, you know, she's like this wild, instinctual, feminine fucking self. Please, can we embody this? Please, can we bring this into the world? Those parts of self. And to me, I found archetypal embodiment, working with particular archetypal energies really opens those up for people. That wild, instinctual self that Clarissa Pinkola Estes was talking about. Dark Mother. She wrote that book, Dark Mother, right? There are beautiful, amazing, mystical, glorious gifts there in these spaces. And we have the door closed to them. You know, they're hidden in the underworld. We've got them like tied up in the basement of our being, and we ain't letting them out because we were told that there's no value. You know, there's no value in your wild woman. There's no value in your witchiness. There's no value in whatever those. They're all different for all of us, but I won't get too sidetracked in that. Okay, so we work with all feminine archetypes in this particular workshop. And it was beautiful, beautiful. So we're sitting in closing circle and everyone's kind of sharing. I couldn't really talk much back then. I know you're like, what, Sabrina? Like, you're such a talker. I couldn't, because I just would work with like the raw Shakti of them, the raw energetics of them. And I had like no translator. You know, like I couldn't translate what Hecate. I couldn't talk us into Hecate. Not at all. I could drum, right? And I could lead a guided journey into that. And we would do a lot of movement, a lot of breathing, a lot of like real embodiment, psycho-spiritual practices, somatic work to get into these parts of self, because it's feminine. The feminine's in the body. The feminine's in the body. And so those are kind of the best access points, by the way. If you're like, how do I get into my own feminine? Get into the body. She's in the body. So we're sitting in closing circle and everyone's asking me, well, what's next? I don't know. Like, I just wanted to survive these 4 hours. Like, what's next? But I hear myself, you know, there's a part of me that's just like, I need a drink, y'all. Like, I don't think I was drinking at the time, but it's like, I don't know. I'm just really happy that we made it. You know, like I didn't fall flat on my face. Like I filled up 4 hours. You all seem pretty happy. It looks like we've done something. I feel like I've like opened doors to new parts of self that you hadn't seen before. I watched y'all like puke out some old distorted parts, some old toxins, some old, you know, emotional stuff that's been like stored up inside yourself. Like I'm feeling pretty good. We ended on love. Like everyone's like feeling integrated, like a lot of love in the room. Like, this is a win. I don't know why you want something else. Like, this is good. 4 hours. We're good. Fuck. I'm just glad we're alive. But I hear myself saying, yeah, there's going to be a retreat in a couple months. Oh my God. What? Oh, okay. If you're interested, put your name on this piece of paper, right? Put your name on this piece, because I don't have any of this. I'm not collecting names. I don't have a website. I have nothing. Oh, just write your name and email on a piece of paper and I'll shoot you an email about a retreat. Great. Everyone signs up. Maybe like one person or two people didn't sign up. I don't know, but I had a whole list of names with email addresses. Like, okay, well, I guess I have an email list. This looks good. I guess we're doing something now, you know. So I get my MailChimp account, which is like free email CRM thing, whatever. And I'm like, you know, plug them all into MailChimp. I'm like, yeah, I got like 10 emails. This is great. And so every other weekend, I think, because it like blasted me to just do 4 hours. Every other weekend, I would run another 4 hour, because I couldn't do more than 4 hours. I had zero stamina to like run that much juice through my body. I mean, now we're doing 6-day fucking events and shit overnight. So it's like, you know, like I've filmed for like 21 days straight of facilitating. It's very different now, but then I had zero stamina. So that's maybe something else too. If you're like, I will never be able to do a retreat, or I'll never be able to facilitate something for 4 hours. You got to start somewhere. You know, if you can start with 1 hour, start with 1 hour. And it's building muscle. It's building the muscle to be able to do it. For me, it was very much that. So anyways, I had this retreat and I'm like, all right, I'll just run a bunch of these 4-hour workshops to fill up the retreat, you know? And so then I, you know, went to like a couple different local retreats, found this cool venue. What was it called? I don't know. It was south of Sydney. Can't remember. Anyways, beautiful venue, steeped in spirituality, beautiful spiritual tradition. I wish I could remember the name of it. Anyways, it was very much nature. Like that was important to me. It's rewilding. Like it has to be like natural environments at this point in these retreats. And so ran that until there was like 20 people coming on this 4-day. I think it was a 4-day, 3 nights, 4-day, or 4-day, 4 nights. I don't know, something like that. Retreat. We get to the retreat and I cry the whole time. When I'm not facilitating, I'm just crying. I'm literally waking up every morning and I'm looking in the mirror and I'm crying because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I could do another day, you know, like day 3 is coming up and I'm crying. I'm like, I don't think I can do this. I don't have enough left. And I just would pray. I would just pray like, please help me. Like God, goddess, anyone, guides, guardians, just like benevolent beings of all, help. Like I need help because I don't know I don't know what I'm doing. We get to the end of the retreat, and everyone asks me what's next. And I did share with them all in the closing circle that was my very first retreat. I did. They were like, what? I said, I cried a lot. I cried a lot in the mornings by myself in the mirror. So if you saw puffy eyes, yeah, it was because I was crying myself to sleep and crying myself awake. All right, this is enough of this like silly personal story. So they asked what's next. And like, then I started a 6-month, I think I called it immersion, 6-month intensive immersion intent. I don't know what it was called. But that then got renamed in the middle of it. It was very clear to me that we were in deep feminine mysteries at this point. It was very clear to me that it was time to call it what it really was, and that is a mystery school. And I cried over that for like 4 days and really didn't want to do that for like 4 days. So here's something that I can maybe share with you to break up this how to ReWilding get started, this whole story that's seemingly really long, and I really hope that this is serving. So let me come back to some points that might really serve. Let me just feel for a minute. I lost my thread. I had a really good point of what I wanted to share here. It's this. Following our path and stepping into things that we don't think we're ready for, and learning. I always say this, learn your markers. And some people are like, what does that mean, Sabrina? Like, learn your markers. Know when it feels true. Know what your little self feels like when it's just kicking up a little bit of a fit. So my little self, when my little self is kicking up a bit of a fit, like my egoical self, my fearful self, I like to call it my little self. You know, it's not my like soul self. It's not my wise wisdom woman self. It's my little self. And my little self's kind of kicking up a fit. It's usually like I have my own markers for it of it's too big, it's too much. Who am I to do it? It kicks up all those insecurities. And that's when I know I'm on it. That's just for me. It's how I know. It's how I know when it scares the shit out of me. Some people will talk about this too. You'll hear this. A lot of people who talk about like finding your purpose, your soul purpose. What's your big scary? If it's not scary, it's probably not big enough. I found that to be true for me. I'm not saying that that's true for everybody, but for me, I found that to be very true. If it's not a little bit scary, then it's probably not true. Like for the next steps of things, when you're stretching, it's like the next evolution of things. You're growing, you're up leveling, you're expanding, right? In that, whenever I'm in one of those phases and it's not scary, I'm not on it. For me, that's a marker. But that's like an example of a marker. And so the point that I want to make here is maybe 2 points. One is to learn what it feels like for you when you're on it. And you can do that by looking backward. So you can look backward of like when you were on it, what did it feel like? And write those things down. Remind yourself of those. Because I forget too, but I'm so steeped in it now. And I've been through it so many times because I think some of us choose paths of real rapid evolution. And I think a lot of people here probably listening to this video choose a path of pretty rapid growth, pretty rapid awakening, pretty rapid expansion, evolution of self. So there's a lot of change and a lot of transformation that happens in your life. And that comes with a certain set of experiences. And so I know what it feels like when I'm expanding out. I have markers for that. And some of those markers, I want to contract, but I know them so well that I can just kind of love them. I know them so well, like I'm super scared. I don't feel like I'm worthy of calling this a mystery school. It's like this very simple thing of like, and that's how you know it's true. Also for me, that's how I know I'm not going to get in the way. The only way that I would get in the way is if I didn't do it. Can you feel that? Let me explain that. I know I won't get in the way. I won't manipulate it. I will do it justice because I have so much reverence for it. Does that make sense? So the only way I will do the mystery school reverence because I'm literally on my knees in devotion to it and I'm in awe of it and it feels like it's beyond myself. It's not me. It's beyond me. And so that's how I know that, yes, I'll be the mother of it or it will be birthed through me, but I'm really just giving birth to it. It's not, I won't cling to it. I won't attach to it. That's how I know. It's how I know. So the only way that I would get in the way is if I said no to it. Maybe you can relate to that. Maybe that brings you something in your own path. Again, I really want this conversation to serve in so many ways. And I think one of the greatest things about the story of ReWilding and how ReWilding got founded is that it was such a soul journey. It was so steeped in the feminine and it was so soulful and it was breadcrumb. Like I always say, follow the breadcrumb trail. It was literally breadcrumb for breadcrumb for breadcrumb from that deep intuitive place that I said before. I had a hard time trusting because I was so linear, so logical. I had a hard time trusting the divine. This was way beyond me, in spirit too, inspired by something way outside of myself. And I knew it. And then developing that relationship over time so it just gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And I know my little self-reaction to those breadcrumbs. So I have this really deep relationship now to the breadcrumbs. I have this really deep relationship to trusting that still small voice within, that divine voice, that divine spark, those inspirations. So if there's anything I can share around that, maybe that serves. Can you see that this is also just partially where ReWilding came from and how it's so aligned with who I am. There's a part of me that I know deep. It's a deep part of myself, and it's so deep that I don't want to admit to it. That's how deep it is. And it took me years. I mean, it was probably 5 years into ReWilding that I actually uncovered this part. And it's the part that I love humans so much. I love humanity so much that it fucking breaks me. And that's why I can show up the way that I show up and do what I do. And for as long as I have, right? And I'm not even saying 9 years is a long time. I'm not saying that at all. Okay. There's this other piece that's just coming to me too. I remember sharing this with someone who was a really good mentor to me at the time. And I remember sharing this when I founded ReWilding. at the very start, I was still, doing those like little rewilding for women workshops in Australia and like those little retreats. And I remember saying to him, I was born for this. Like I was made for this. I hear women, and I hear men too, in rewilding say that. I hear them say that a lot when we're doing like soul work, right? Or true north work, or really getting into deep alignment with what it is that they really came here to do. It's these words around like, I was made for this. I was just made for this. That can be really helpful too, is knowing what that feels like. I was just made for this, and get the mind stuff out of the way. So get the mind stuff out of the way. Like, I thought I had to be a doctor. I had to work through that in my early 20s because I thought I just thought I had to be that for all the silly, like, external reasons. It wasn't coming from a doctor for sure. I love humanity. That was one expression of it, but it wasn't coming from, I remember job shadowing doctors, and I would literally want to fall asleep. We're in surgery and I want to fall asleep. That's how I knew this isn't really lighting me up. I'm really not interested in this. This is like, I saw this surgery yesterday. It's the same surgery. I'm really fucking bored. This is not how I'm called to serve humanity. So if there's something that I can share around that might serve in some way, it's being so true to what lights you up, and know what it feels like when it lights you up, when something lights you up, and not being ashamed or embarrassed of this lighting you up. For example, I have a beautiful man in my life. What lights him up is family. It just lights him up. He doesn't want that to light him up that much. He doesn't want that to be the thing that is his fucking purpose. So a lot of times we want, or we think it should be something else. We don't think it should be a relationship. We don't think it should be our family. We don't think it should be our community. We don't think it should be something. And we have to throw that out. That is one thing that I see getting in the way, and it got in my way. It almost got in ReWilding's way, right? Is where I didn't think that it should be this. I didn't, if I would have, when I was 30, if you would have told me, Sabrina, this is what you're going to be doing when you're 45, I'm 45 now. This is what you're going to be doing when you're 45. I would have laughed long and loud and hard. I would have been like, there's no fucking way. Someone did tell me that, actually. Someone did tell me that when I was very much in like the seeking, very much in the seeking. I was still very steeped in corporate, very steeped in the business world. I was still like super dude, right? I was super masculine for a really long time. It's partially why ReWilding for women was so loud for me, and reclaiming the feminine was so profound in my life, and why I was so called to serve in this way, and still am so called to serve in this way, is because it was so profound for me, and it was such a journey for me personally of reclaiming my own feminine. But I remember this woman saying to me, and she is another really good teacher and mentor. By the way, I also am a firm believer that we need wise elders. We need wise mentors, wise people who are, even if they're a step ahead of us on the path, they are fucking valuable, kind of like the soul friends. I know there's this whole movement about like fucking off the guru. I'm all in. I'm all in on that. Fucking off the teacher. I'm all in because there's a lot of gross shit around there. There's a lot of gross stuff where it's disempowering. But I'm not all in for throwing out the baby with the bathwater. I'm not all in for throwing out elders and the fucking experience that they carry and what they've given me and passed down to me. It's like a passing of the torch. I'm not all in for that. It hurts me. It hurts me to think of doing that to some of the amazing people who have gifted me, and I wouldn't be here without them. So anyways, she says to me, Sabrina, you're going to work with women. And I was like, what? No way. I'm literally wearing gray business suits and I'm in a man's world. Like, it's corporate. I'm in all dudes. You're going to work with women, and you're going to work like around like, I don't even think she said feminine. I don't think she said like sacred feminine or divine feminine. She said, you're going to work with a lot of women. At some point, I'm like, there's no way. So that to say, if there's maybe something I say, like, expect the unexpected, because until we really get to the core of self, We have no idea what lights us up until we do that deep excavating, that peeling off the masks. I mean, how many layers and layers and layers of false shit is on top of us? Let's be honest about it. All of us. Society puts on false layers of shit. Our family puts on false layers of shit. Our past life experiences put on false layers of shit. And I think part of our job, I think part of our soul experience in this life is to peel back those layers to get to that authentic essence of who you are, that like you shining in your fullness, that soul shine, right? And that soul shine and that unique creation that is your life. Like the unique way that your love and light flows into this world can only be done that way. Okay. Wow, I'm going off on tangents here. Let's keep going with a little bit more around rewilding. Then where it all started, how it was founded. That's kind of how it was founded. I don't think any of that stuff really serves. I could talk about how things went online, but I don't know. That's kind of boring. I'll share that. I started podcasting for two reasons. One, I wanted to see if I could develop my capacity for speaking the archetypes, the sacred, if I could find a way to speak it that when I wasn't in a room with a drum or giving you like a guided journey. It's really partially why I started podcasting. It's really so I could just practice and see if I could. It was just an experiment, just like playful. I think that's something else that I think really helped me is to just be playful and like, I'll say it like this because I said I wasn't going to hold back, give no fucks, like so playful and just really give no fucks. I just like, whatever, if I fall flat on my face, it's fine. If I look like an idiot, that's fine. I think I got embarrassed so many times in my life that it stopped being embarrassing. Like, I don't know, we're just all human and it's just like, we're just lifing. Like I love that book, Everybody Poops, for people who like struggle with, like we should hide poop. Everybody poops. Like everybody fails. Everybody fucks up. Everybody looks like an idiot sometimes. Everybody trips and falls and lands on their face. We all do. Well, let's take the sting out of it. I think there's like this thing about getting older too. I like calling it the dangerous old woman. Love the dangerous old woman, right? Like you're just a dangerous old woman because you don't give a fuck anymore. You just are. And I can't wait to get even older, right? Like if I'm like this in 45, I can't wait to be like 65. I mean, fuck, I'm going to be really dangerous. Like, shit, people aren't even going to want to like look at me sideways. No, I'm just kidding. I'm never, that's not like mean dangerous. It's just like free, like free. That's okay. I don't care. So if I could share any of that, hopefully inspire some of that, like courage to just be you. Just be you. And fuck, I had to work through that. Here, I'll go back to this part now. For those of us who hide our spirituality or keep it separate, I was totally that person. Totally that person. I was like business in the front. It's almost like, what are those like haircuts where it's like dudes have like short hair on the top and then mullet, like short hair on the top and like long hair in the back. It's like business in the front, party in the back, right? I was like business in the front, spirituality in the back. It's totally how I was. All day I would do public speaking skills, or I had my corporate training job, or I was in like sales for a long time in corporate. Like I was selling chemicals to pharmaceuticals and like food companies. I mean, that is like the antithesis of my being. And it was so good because it was so painful to me. Like, oh my God, I'm selling preservatives. I don't even eat preservative. Ugh, it was so bad, but it had to be painful or I would have never moved. So that's maybe something else. It had to get so painful that I was like, I just cannot do this. Yes, it's paying the bills. Yes, I'm still having fun. Yes, I get the car and the computer and like all this shit paid for, an expense account and whatever. Like my friends work here now and all these things, but it was not filling my soul. It was so painful. So you get pushed out. It's maybe something else to reflect on. What's so painful that you maybe don't have to make it more painful in order to leave. You just leave. I always find that like the divine, they will make it painful to get you out. But I think we can avoid a lot of that. I think we can avoid a lot of that heartache and a lot of that pain if we just move. We just move, just do it before it has to be so painful. Maybe that serves in some way. Okay, what was that thread that I was just on? Oh yeah, hiding. Business in the front, spirituality in the back. I've got my mullet. Where are we going in this conversation? So I would hide it, and gloriously, beautifully, perfectly, my partner at the time, super supportive of ReWilding, amazing. I wouldn't be here without that beautiful soul's support in my life at that time around the fact of pushing me, sometimes very uncomfortably, like having a conversation at a restaurant with the waiter and him saying, "Oh, you're religious? Oh yeah, Sabrina's very spiritual. She was just working with Christ consciousness this weekend." Like my jaw hit the table. My jaw, like I hid that like it was nobody's business. And here we are having a conversation with a waiter at a restaurant, totally innocent. And I'm melting down, dying. It was so good for me though. It was so good. It was so good. If there's something I can share is, for me, it wasn't about putting my beliefs in someone's face or trying to convince someone of what I believe or what my spiritual path was, but it also wasn't me hiding it. Hiding it hurt me. Hiding it kept me separated. It was like I was separated, and I had to remember which hat to wear. So maybe that's something in there. And also maybe you're terrified of your spirituality, and fuck, I founded a spiritual business and I've been leading this thing for 9 years, and it's growing. The team is growing. Our beautiful, amazing community is growing. Our events are growing. So if you are one of those, like, I've got so much compassion for you, and don't think that just because you have that fear, it will always be there. That might be the thing that gets you where you're going to. But being real about it is this serving. Is it serving to keep it separate? And what can I do? To take the next step, right? The next step, whatever that next step is for you, that breadcrumb trail. All right. So I think we should fast forward to what is ReWilding today? Let's talk about that a little bit. I'll share this little piece. This was brought up by the team as well. ReWilding has changed and evolved and done beautiful, wild, amazing things. So ReWilding was founded on the archetypes, specifically the feminine archetypes, very much the feminine archetypes: Hecate, Kali, Lilith, Persephone, Hygeia, Lolita. I always say we work with 36 archetypes. I've probably facilitated about 60, maybe more. I don't know. But we were so steeped in feminine. And then what started to really happen was the masculine. I was like, the masculine needed to come in order for more of the feminine to be able to arise. It was also just a call. I don't know if that's necessarily the right way of saying that. It just very organically morphed into doing a lot of sacred union. It was like we did archetypes, reclaiming the feminine, rise of the feminine, Shakti, and then it was Shiva and Shakti, right? And then it was like Mary Magdalene, and then it was Christ consciousness of Mary Magdalene, right? Parvati, Shiva, Persephone, and Hades, right? Venus, and Mars. So it just sort of morphed into, oh, this is the next step. The next step is now the marrying of the two, the marrying of these two energies, the marrying of consciousness and life force, the marrying of the divine feminine, the divine masculine in ourselves, in an embodied way, in the body, in our lives, in ourselves. So it became that for like 2 years. Sacred union. Some of you've done that with me, the reunion experience. That was our first one. Then we ran like a longer term program, like a mystery school around the sacred union. Then we did Dragon Mystery School, which was the divine feminine, the divine masculine, but we called it the threefold path. So then the next phase, so if the first phase was archetypes, Which, by the way, this is a really good path of awakening. It's a really good path of empowerment. It's a really good path of coming home to true self. It's a really good path of healing. It's a really good, is this archetypes, because they take you into all the different parts of yourself, to wake up the different parts of yourself, to move out the blocks. So let's say you have this glorious Venus. Maybe you're just this like beautiful, amazing Venusian woman, but you're holding this block of, if I'm too pretty, people will hate me. That's a very common one. If I'm too radiant, all the women will hate me. Or if I'm too radiant, I'm going to get hurt because I'm going to attract unwanted attention. I'm going to get hurt. Right? Which is a belief system. It's a block. And so somehow, right? And I'm not saying that these things don't happen. I'm not saying that these things don't happen at all. This is not what this is about, but it's removing things that are preventing you from your true full self. It's not that I need to be walking Venusian, right? In inappropriate places, right? Like I don't need to be like walking Venusian down a dark alleyway at night in a very dangerous city. Probably don't need to be doing that. It's not about that, but it's that my Venusian is open. She's free, she's open, she can freely flow when that moment calls for it, right? Okay, so anyways, then it became sacred union. And then what happens in our sacred union, then we did rewilding your relationships. I know some of you did that too, which is beautiful. Like, it's powerful work in all relationships, and the masculine in ourselves and the feminine in ourselves and the masculine in the world. And here's something you could do just as a little offering. Feel into, what is your feminine relationship to the feminine? What is your feminine relationship to the masculine? Your feminine relationship to the feminine outside of you. Your feminine relationship to the masculine outside of you. This is crazy powerful. It's crazy powerful to just reflect on and get really honest about, and then do some work in there, right? Do some archetypal work in there, do some reunion work, do some sacred union work. Now, what is your masculine side, right? Like I was talking about like my corporate dude side. My masculine side, what is my masculine side's relationship to the masculine outside of myself? Where's it at? How evolved is it, right? How high level is it? How much of a divine expression is it? Is it dormant? Like I just can't even do it. You see some people like they just can't hang out. Like their masculine just has zero capacity to be with any other masculine energy outside of themselves. There's a place to potentially look at for growth. And then what is your masculine relationship to the feminine outside of you? Those are four beautiful entry points, 4 powerful entry points that tell you a lot about yourself. They can also be doorways into where you can find what's hurting your relationships, not just to outside of yourself, but what's hurting your relationship to yourself. So let's say your feminine has a problem with the masculine outside of yourself. Your feminine probably has a problem with the masculine inside of yourself too. Those are a little bit trickier to find, but they're there. So that's sacred union work, an aspect of sacred union work. It, of course, also brings up our sexuality, everything to do with our sexuality, right? And then it starts to lead to, you do sacred union work long enough, and this is rewilding. This is what's happened in rewilding. You do sacred union work long enough, and then you start to tap into the third energy. That when the fullness, or when the sacred masculine unites with the sacred feminine, there's a third energy that gets formed. There's a third energy. So what is that third energy? And when you start embodying that third energy, and you start being, I'm just going to use this word wield. You start to be able to wield that third energy through your body into your life. What does that mean? That third energy is creation energy. Right? If you think about it, the masculine and the feminine, they unite. It's creation. Like if you think about it just from human terms, masculine and feminine essences unite in lovemaking. You make a baby. It's creation. It's creation energy. It's literally the creation point. The mystery's in there, right? And so then that's where rewilding has gone to, is now there's a creation mystery school where you work with that creation energy. Right? You open up to more of that creation energy. You're steeped. Every cell of your body gets steeped. Every cell of your body has that creation energy in it. But how alive are you to it? How aware of it are you to it? Do you know how to use it? Do you know how to wield it? Do you know how to work with it? And then when you do know how to work with it, how you create in the world is completely different. How you magnetize something to you, how you manifest in the world, how you attract things to you is very different. The capacities that open up in ourselves are extraordinary. So that's where all of this is leading to. That's rewilding, the current state of rewilding. And it holds, after 9 years, we now hold all three of those states. So we call it rewilding, reunion, recreation. Isn't that fun? Isn't that beautiful? It's so good. And of course, overall, we're just rewilding, right? We're rewilding. But rewilding ultimately, to me, we also sometimes work with rewilding as an archetypal energy. This is kind of fun. So the team, you can tune into rewilding as an archetypal energy, as an essence, like we were talking about Venus and Mars, and you can tune into rewilding just like that, as an essence. Like, what is the archetypal energy of rewilding? And if you just start to feel into it, there's words, true colors. Those are words that I love using for the archetypal energy of rewilding. Like if you were to talk about Venus, I was saying like Venusian, goddess of beauty, goddess of love. But you feel into rewilding, we sometimes refer to her as her. It's because we're so steeped in the feminine, I think. But it's like rewilding is not her or him. Really, to me, it's not a gender-based archetypal energy. But rewilding, the essence of rewilding, if I were to give it like a phrase or a subtitle, it would be true colors. Like she, he, it. Rewilding brings out your true colors. You can't not bring out your true colors. You can't not bring out your true colors. You can't stand too close to rewilding and your true colors not be revealed. So sometimes they're ugly as fuck. This is what's true. Sometimes they're ugly. Your true colors are coming out. There's a lot of shadow work that happens in rewilding. There's a lot of revealing of your hidden. There's a lot of revealing of the stuff that you don't want to see about yourself. But it's puppeteering you around the world anyways. It's moving you. It's preventing relationship drama. Like, it's causing all sorts of like chaos and shit in your life. And so thank goodness, true colors get revealed. Good, get them out. Get them into the light. Carl Jung, enlightenment is actually the enlightening of the hidden. It's the bringing the hidden into light, making the unconscious conscious. True colors, your true colors are being revealed. Yes. And then if I were to give a framework to it, it's like your true colors get revealed and they move from dormant to distorted, developing, stage 2, stage 1, dormant. But your true colors come out of being hidden. They move through this like distorted or developing pattern where it's painful, like true colors. Oh God, I don't want to see that I'm sexually manipulative, or oh God, I didn't want to see I'm really disempowered. Oh God, I didn't want to see I'm a blood donor to vampires, or oh God, I didn't want to see I'm a people pleaser. Those sorts of things. Oh God, I don't want to see that I'm playing the victim all the time. Ugh. Yeah, but now that you see it, you get to work with it. It gets to change. You're bringing it into the light and the love, which is the alchemy of it. This is rewilding. You're just alchemizing it. That's it. You're loving the shit out of it, right? So it's moving up through this place of being dormant, through this place of developing, through the distorted phase of it, right, into divine expression of it. The divine expression of it. Any part, all those parts of self, even that victim part, right? Like all of these like real icky, the people pleaser, blah, 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 blah. They move up. And now it's a third stage divine expression of it. You're operating, it's expressing that part of you, right? So let's just say this is an easier one. Let's say the mother in me. Right. Let's say the mother, because mother's an easy one, or father. You can use father if that feels better for you. That part of me is just dormant. I don't mother anything. I don't birth anything. It's just dormant. Well, you can imagine, like I was talking about birthing, rewilding for women. We're not just birthing physical babies. We're giving birth all the time. It's part of creation. Like we're birthing things, projects, words, ideas, giving birth to them. Right. So let's say the mother in me is dormant. Well, that's kind of messing up my life. Like, that's messing up my life. I can't nurture. I'm probably not nurturing the people I love, like with the dormant mother. Okay, well, then let's say True colors, rewilding. I'm rewilding. It's my true colors are coming out. Okay, well, dormant mother. Oh, fuck. Mother's a part of me. Coming up. She's awake. Now she's angry. She's sad. She's angry and she's sad because she wasn't mothered. She's angry and sad she wasn't mothered. She doesn't know how to mother. She just wants to deny, I just want to numb out to that because there's so much pain there in the mother for me. Oh my God, my mothering experience, I was abandoned, I was betrayed, mothering, bad. I don't want to give anything to anyone because I had to take care of myself since I was 6 months old or whatever it is, right? But you move through that. This is the beautiful part of it. This is the moving the Shakti. You're moving the Shakti consciousness. These two aspects are part of rewilding. It's the divine masculine and feminine, but we'll just say these two aspects because it's easier to comprehend. It's consciousness and life force coming together. Consciousness and life force come together. Consciousness and life force come together. My battery's going to run out really soon. This is a long ass conversation, y'all. We're going to run out of the battery on the phone. Consciousness and life force come together, right? They come together, and what do? They fucking alchemize. They alchemize that distorted mother in us so that we move through, so that at some point, the mother in me expresses in this healthy, beautiful, heart and soul aligned way. It is free. It is clear. There's no rubble in the line. It is just love moving through me in the form of the mother out into the world as a gift, as a third stage gift from the divine in me, right? And when it's coming out in that, it's in service to the highest good of the all of everything. Just that. For every aspect of ourselves, anywhere, anytime. This conversation could go on and on and on and on. But I think we're at a good ending point. I think we end on a high note. Come and rewild your life in Berlin, London, Sydney with me. We're doing these amazing 2-day events. We're going to go through all of that. The archetypes. We're doing big work on the archetypes, moving all bunch of parts of you, moving them out of distorted and the deeper, darker ones, the more hidden ones, the trickier ones, the ones you can't get into on your own. We're going to do that. Big stuff. We'll, of course, work with the union. And of course, I ain't going to do a rewild your life without tapping us a little bit into creation energy, right? So I'd love to see you there. You'll find details for that below. There's a birthday special. So if you're listening to this around October of 2024, you'll see that we have a little bit of a fun birthday special going on for those. All right. My goodness. It is really amazing to have done this and amazing to be here with you all after 9 years. And I'm crazy grateful for the ride, for the journey, for your love, for our community. This is a co-creation and I wouldn't be here without you. Rewilding wouldn't be here without you. So as much as I love my support team, as much as I love everyone and everything that's gotten me here, it's you too. It's you too. I love you too. I love you too. And I'm so grateful for you too. Thank you.